Yeah, I think I need something.
You have a mouse?
Oh, no cord.
Controls. If you hit your control button and your wheel,
Yeah.
the control button on the keyboard,
Oh.
and then wheel up
Kathy, can you hear me?
to zoom in.
Thumbs up.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yes,
Wow.
I can hear you.
All right, thank you. Okay.
That is excellent.
And same thing, control wheel down, zoom down.
Look at that. Okay. I can see.
It's still printing.
Okay.
It's a rather big part.
Thank you. It'll probably be at my desk down there in the council chambers.
Is Chief Parkinson coming?
As far as I know.
Okay. No, the commute might be. Well,
When are we opening that building?
June or July of next year. Yeah.
I feel like they just.
You're welcome.
And are you doing the emergency management one, John?
We don't have one.
Okay.
Dean was like training all this week. This stuff.
Oh, where are you? Sorry, Brandy.
What?
Lost it, cut out the first. All right, it's recording this.
Okay. All right, we will start the November 14th public safety meeting. I am here, Councilmember Fullerton and Councilmember-elect Baldwin are here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We will move on to approval of minutes. Are there any changes or corrections anyone noted? All right. We'll move those on as noted. We'll go into, we'll skip down to item number 2 on departments and reports, and we'll go over to Chief Berry with Bonney Lake Police Department. Chief Berry.
Thank you. First, I'll give you a quick little update on staffing. We were at 2 vacant positions, and now Sergeant Maris has retired, so we're at 3 vacant positions right now. We won't look to fill Sergeant Maris's position for some time until we kind of catch up with his payout to our budget and wages. Maybe not.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. So we're not looking to fill that one quite yet. We're still actively going through the hiring process with candidates right now. We just extended a conditional offer that was accepted today. That'll move that time because it's much more cost effective to bring on 2 at one time for the onboarding training than 1, and then bring on someone a month later and restart it. So that's kind of my staffing update.
Okay.
You got the announcement or the bulletin with kind of the summary of events. I really just kind of want to concentrate on the statistics. I was going through the statistics. I'm actually just super excited about the statistics. Crime in almost all areas is down, including calls for service. While it doesn't seem that way all the time, statistically looking at what we were looking at in 2022 year to date versus now, pretty great. The one that's really unfortunate though is juvenile arrests for felony crimes. You can see that we're at 18 for the year already instead of 6, which is a 300% jump. That is not inconsistent with what we're seeing regionally. Juvenile crime, particularly armed robberies right now and car thefts involving some juvenile groups, is through the roof. So that's very similar to what we're seeing here. We have had several robberies here in the city involving some known juvenile gangs. They're stealing cars, going out doing robberies, and then some other robberies in nearby jurisdictions that come up through Bonney Lake during pursuits or attempts to elude officers. So coming out of traffic, the nice thing I do see is a rise in traffic infractions as well as traffic misdemeanors, which shows officers are out there proactively trying to combat the reckless driving habits that we're starting to see. That's that's really it for my report. Any questions? Go ahead.
What do you feel like is the cause for the numbers going down? Because I know one of the big issues that we had talked about before is, just the numbers being, we felt skewed just because of, the inability to pursue drug offenses and things like that. So what do you think is causing the numbers to go down? Because that is surprising to me, the numbers.
So I think we have a combination of things, right?
Okay.
There are a lot of crimes that aren't being solved because on a weekly basis, if not multiple times a week,
Yeah.
we try and stop a car for various offenses. They hit the gas,
Okay.
they're gone, and now it's a non-reported crime.
Okay.
So I think the other thing is a lot of our businesses and a lot of our homeowners aren't calling in anymore. When there's a shoplift, when there's a vehicle prowl, they just are getting used to it and are not calling in. So one thing I am looking in right now is bringing online reporting to Bonney Lake PD so that citizens have the option. They will always have the option of having a police officer, never to replace personal in-service contact. But if you are a business that just had someone $10 item and you don't want to wait for the police and shut down your business, you could file that report online. Same with if I come out in the morning and maybe my car window's been smashed in, if I need to go to work, they can then go to work. They can do the report online at their convenience.
Okay.
And we'll still see that as crime data versus right now, I think a lot of that goes unreported.
Another follow-up question to
Sure.
that. I think that sounds really great. How will we get, because again, I always go back to just myself. I miss the email communication to tell me to sign up for this, how to do this. If I were to have some sort of crime occur, I would call the police. But if I didn't, and I were to report it, like, how would I know where to go?
Absolutely. So what we'll do kind of some community outreach. The number one thing will be on our website. So
Okay.
you'll be able to go to the website and click on the hot link, and
Yeah.
that'll take you straight to the online reporting. That will give you the chance to do it at your convenience, give you a case number to give to your insurance company.
Okay.
And then what we'll be doing, for example, this Friday, we
Yeah.
have events like Coffee to Cop, or we just have social meetings, is to bring flyers and to tell people about those programs so that what we should see is in the beginning, we don't have a lot of traffic, and then people learn about it, and we're starting to have consistent traffic using that.
Is it possible, because I think one of the things I'm really interested in is in trying to get people more connected into public safety and what to do, such as, I think that is such a great idea, in order to get accurate data too. Could we have some flyers, like to take to neighbors and?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, and we could create digital flyers too, so
Okay.
as you have just citizen contacts or workers you work with, you can just send them to them digitally.
oh, that'd be great, okay,
Yeah.
but there would be a hot link on the main page anyway.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And we could do hot links for a variety of things, including crime data.
Okay,
So we can
I think
make
that's
that
great.
information very transparent.
And something we're trying to do as part of the comprehensive plan is better connect with our HOAs so that
Oh,
we can
yes.
so we're compiling a list of all of our HOAs and we'll be asking people to share their information. We've done all
At the
the
meetings.
digging online,
yes,
but we haven't been able to get contact with them for a number of them. So
okay,
we're gonna do a social media push to ask people, hey, does your neighborhood have a HOA? We'd love to be able to
Okay.
better communicate. So
okay.
yeah.
One of the things that we had discussed, and I don't know that it really kind of took off or if it actually happened, was like in our parks to have the QR codes report their crimes if, something was happening.
QR codes are a great way to go, especially because you can do them in multiple languages without having the printing costs.
Yeah.
I mean, I
And
guess.
Google Translate will do that for us.
We could even consider doing that, like, in some of the entries of the parks for the HOAs, and if they see any vandalism or they breaking into their neighbor's house, a QR code that, or, just a link that, like an app almost, they could just go to and be able to report. They don't want to, it's like a non-violent crime and they don't want to.
And I can link them to the non-emergency number
Right.
instead of the 911 number.
Or even just to report it too, if that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
Just to
or
be able
just to report it.
We're a little cognizant, honestly, of when we get the various computer IP address
Yeah,
reports. We do flag those, but we really kind of scrutinize those because a lot of the swatting incidents and the various things are being done not by someone calling, but they're coming off IP lines. So certainly doable because no one's gonna do that for a vandal.
Yes.
Right. So we
Yeah,
just
yeah,
have to
yeah.
scrutinize it.
Okay.
That's one concern with IP
do
addresses.
we have a lot of swatting here in Bonney Lake? We have?
Well, Southside 911 does a really good job now. And now we kind of have a list of red flags of what these look like. And so they're doing a good job just within the region of
Nice.
shutting
Okay.
those down
Okay.
before we
I know Marjorie Taylor Grange just swatted like 6 times.
Okay, we'll move on. Anything else? Chief Barry? Good. All right. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Chief. You're welcome. We'll go on to item number 3, the prosecutor's office report. Dana?
Awesome. Thank you, Councilmember Evans. So for the month of October, we had a total of 439 hearings where we represented the city. That included 45 arraignments and 109 pretrial cases. We also processed just under 20 hours of body-worn camera. It was 19.59 hours of body-worn camera. And we also provided 94 discovery packets to defense counsel. So for, as we're getting kind of closer to the end of the year, our stats for body-worn camera have been kind of averaging around the 20 hours a month that we're spending. Some months have been lower, some months have been higher. And for the discovery packets, at the beginning of the year, we were sending out a lot of discovery packets because of the transition to the new public defender. So we had a couple months where we were well above 100. Like in March, we went up to 205. And then for this past month, we provided 94. So the just under 100 number seems to be what we're averaging for most months now that big push at the beginning of the year is over.
Just under 100 or just under 20?
Just under, for body-worn camera, it's about 20, and then discovery packets is just under 100. That's all I have. Is there any questions?
No.
Obviously I was, but, is there a reason why there's such, in July and May for the court hearings anyway? By the way, thank you for this kind of like tape. Yeah.
I think it just has to do with the fact that I think a lot of people go on vacation in August, and so a lot of private attorneys will try to get their cases in
Okay,
June and July,
yeah,
then they're out in August,
okay,
and then they come back in September. So I
gotcha.
think that's probably part of that jump. It more has to do with the attorney scheduling, not necessarily like people took the month off and
Oh, gotcha.
committing crimes.
Here I am. Yeah, okay, got it.
I was excited. I got picked for selected for jury duty, but you guys never had in October.
I feel like that's your second time.
No, that's my first. My wife got picked for it.
Oh, okay, okay,
But mine was for Sumner,
okay.
but nothing happened for
Maybe next time.
I'm so excited 'cause I'm at a place where they encourage you to not get out of it.
I always have to go to Tacoma.
Yeah, I never.
How'd you get Bonney Lake?
It
Or
was,
Sumner.
yeah, well, my wife's with Bonney Lake and I was Sumner. I don't know how. I pulled up, but. All right, well, thank you so much. We'll go on to, there is no emergency management report.
Oh, so it might be back to me again.
Yeah, and we'll skip over item number 1, East Pierce Fire and Rescue. The packet does contain their reports. So yeah, we'll go on to section E, discussion action items, AB 23-152, ordinance D 23-152, amending Bonney Lake Municipal Code section 6.04.190.
All right. Thank you. So this is a really small change to the animal code. There was a loophole that basically came to our attention due to a case, and the definition for at large at the beginning of the section of the Bonney Lake Municipal Code for animals basically includes the animal being kind of anywhere out, not under control. But then in 6.04.190, there's this qualifying language that basically means it has to be in a public place for a domesticated animal to be at large. And so that means that if a domesticated animal, such as a dog, was loose and got in some private owner's property, such as a front or backyard, the way the code is currently written, that animal would not be considered at large. It has to be on public property. So this is not
Even in someone else's yard?
correct, the way the code is currently written.
Oh, okay.
So we want to change that
Yeah.
so that if somebody's dog gets loose, breaks through gets into somebody else's backyard, we can take steps under the code for charging them for the animal at large. So this would be consistent with the other cities that contract with Metro Animal Services, this change. It's a really small change, and it would just make it easier for us to, or possible for us to charge the people with the animal at large.
Okay.
You're making it more strict on the people with the pets.
Or safer for the
For the
community.
community, yeah.
I did, when I was reading through this, I did have some reservations. And so I guess my question is, I guess why did this come up? You said there was a case. What happened?
There was a dog that was loose on someone's private property, and so the case was dismissed.
Someone else's private
Somebody
property.
else's private property. So this
Your
would,
neighbor's dog.
if your dog is on your private property, you're fine. But let's say you have a person and their dog gets loose and goes down the street into somebody else's backyard and is completely out of their control, this would give us the ability to, have them with a violation of animal at large. So this is not for if you
Yeah.
had your dog on your own private property.
I guess my reservation with this is that, for example, I had a neighbor whose dog, she definitely did everything in her power to keep her dog in her yard. And then one day when she was at work, the dog had chewed through the fence, a part of the fence, got out, and then was like all over the neighborhood. Had to like figure out a way to get home, get her dog under control, and things like that. And to me, that's very much an isolated incident. Like I could understand if somebody is constantly having their dog out, they haven't but I think that happens to people all the time. And so I just don't want there to be repeated just charges of people, with these, because dogs, they chew through fences, they break through, like when my dog was dying, he was constantly. And so I don't want to make more restrictions. And I know we can say like, oh, it's to keep people safe. But again, it's also, I just don't want to go around because, their dog in an isolated incident has gotten out. Unless obviously their dog is being, that's other types of charges. But like if their dog is simply being a nuisance in an isolated incident because they got out, I don't know that people should just charged for things like that.
Well, so thank you for bringing up that concern. That's one of the things that prosecutors have discretion on when they look at cases is that we can look and see has this dog gotten loose before. We can look at someone's criminal history. And so, if it's a person who has no other criminal history, the neighbors confirm it's an isolated incident. We have different tools in our tool belt. We can make sure, hey, they patched the fence. They have, a doggy camera set up now, or a dog walker to come and, they necessary steps. We have that power to dismiss the case. And so, that's one of the great things about being a prosecutor is you have that prosecutorial discretion to make sure that a person, that justice is being served.
I guess then it goes on another kind of level of concern for me is that yes, that's so wonderful that you have that discretion, right? And I know that you're going to use that discretion, but then let's say that in the future, years from now, that maybe is not exercising that same level of discretion. There's nothing in the word that would help somebody, I guess, who is in that situation to get out of it because they're just now relying on the discretion of somebody, whether they're going to, I guess, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Right.
I know you'll use discretion, right? But now you're gone, somebody's here, they're not exercising discretion. There isn't anything in writing that would protect somebody who has some sort of isolated incident?
Well, this wouldn't protect them anyway
What do
from
you
that.
mean?
This is not changing that. This is if your neighbor's aggressive dog gets into your house.
Well, I'm not talking
Animal
about
control.
aggression. I'm talking about at large, if they're loose.
Well, but the at large isn't changing. The only thing changing with the at large
is the location. Yeah, I know.
It's just expanding
From-
into private property. So if
Yeah.
it's loose on public property,
yeah, that's already in the code.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I understand on public
Yeah.
property, but in neighborhoods where it happens all the time.
And like for me, I had two St. Bernards running down the road, and I was able to coax them into my backyard because we were having a steak dinner that night. So I put them in my backyard, I locked them up, and one of them was, and apparently, so I called the number phone, and the owner was like, "Oh my gosh, my St. Bernards, they literally know how to open the door. They could unlock the door and open it and get out because they had like a lever door handle inside, and they were renters, so they weren't allowed to make changes to the inside of the house. So, for me, they came on my property. I coaxed them into my backyard, and I was able to keep them safe until the owners did come and get them. But some of the other neighbors were afraid of the dogs just because they were big dogs, and they could have called animal control. And those people, and then it turned out they ended up getting fined anyway, like $600 because their dogs kept getting out, but they couldn't the door handle. So if they had have done something harmful to somebody's property, it's out of their control. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Hard time with
I do as well.
private property because if you're talking about neighborhoods and they're going to end up on somebody's private property, they're going to go poo-poo or pee-pee on somebody's yard, and they're going to be like, "Oh no, the dog's at large! The dog's at large! Well, pet control."
So obviously you didn't call animal control. So they
No.
weren't cited because of you. They got cited because the prosecutor used discretion that these dogs have multiple escape attempts. And
Somebody else must have called animal control, and they knew the dogs apparently. I was like, I just can't believe somebody called it animal control. I mean, they were just so happy to just.
but I look at it as if the dogs have gotten out multiple times and the homeowners made no attempt to stop it. Now, yeah, they can't change a lock, but they can put up a 4x or a piece of plywood. They can do things within their power that do not alter a rented home. They chose not to. So
And when I talk about charging, I just want to be clear that we're talking about like a class 1
Fine,
civil
yeah.
infraction.
Yeah,
So this is
not
not like a misdemeanor or gross misdemeanor.
What would be what is the consequences of that?
It's pretty much a fine. If it happens, what?
like a traffic ticket kind
Yeah,
of?
I mean, it's not like on a person's record the way like a DUI or a theft would be.
I'm not worried about the record. It's just like I'm thinking of like middle class people who don't have a
And it goes up and up and up though every time because I know they're fined for just that one incident because of their rent and fines that they were getting. And I think all of the breakouts actually happened within a 1 month period. So it was like the dogs figured out how to open the doors. They both had to go to work. They were trying to figure out different ways to keep the dogs in. The owner wouldn't let him put a chain on the door, yada, 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 but things that were crazy. I'm just,
how much I was
So for the maximum penalty and the default for a class 1 civil infraction is $250.
That's the maximum.
Right. So the judge has discretion to lower it, and the prosecutor can make a recommendation of lowering it.
I mean, I go back to my neighbor. I go back to the dog was dying. Literally, like, as a cop, come home. The dog has busted a hole through something, and then we had to repeatedly do. And that's not because it was like us not doing anything, wanting to die, not in the backyard. And so I don't know.
So if we don't pass this, then just to be clear, that means that as a prosecutor, we really want, if somebody's dog gets loose and, intrudes into somebody's front yard or backyard or somehow goes through their own doggy door into their house, we won't really have a mechanism for holding that dog owner responsible.
Is there more language that we can add, like, to this to make it so that I don't feel good about it, I guess. And
Is this like
I just
if-
wonder if there's more language that could be added to.
Yeah, so like if the dog attacks them.
And well, I think there is already for
Yeah.
attacking.
Yeah, and that once we get into a dog attacking
This
somebody,
is like
then
nuisance behavior.
we're going into a completely other.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Other
another
realm.
scenario. Okay,
This is
so
just
that's
for
good.
animal at large.
It'll just be language that's a little bit more clear, like as far as, I don't know, because I feel like the way I read through the language and the way that it's written, it just seems like in any incident where your dog gets loose, which is everybody all over the place that has ever owned a dog, yeah, then you can just.
So, I mean, one option could be that for isolated incidents where corrective measures are taken, the court and prosecutor are encouraged to recommend a lowering of the fine or a waiver of the fine.
Okay.
Another thing is, the court can do, and generally does for every case, in what's called like a indigency screening. So if a person really is, in a tough financial situation, the court has the power to lower the fine or completely waive it.
Yeah, no, I think that's great too, but like, I just always go back to, middle class families, like even if like it seems like we wouldn't like qualify for a fine reduction, but like do we really have to pick a fine? No. Just on paper it looks like we do. And so I don't know. Or if something like that could be added so it's a little more specific. Yeah, because I can even see like maybe in neighborhoods where people have maybe tensions with neighbors, right? And then, it just is more ammunition, I feel like. I don't know. But
I think the only other cautioning thing I would say is, Metro Animal Services likes for all the cities that contract with them to have similar code. So it makes their job a lot harder when different cities have different code. And so right now, we don't have it as a violation if that dog gets loose and is on a different person's private property. So if we leave it as is, that makes that challenging. We could definitely go back to have a line in there about encouraging to inquire as to a person's finances and, adjust the fine, there being discretion to adjust the fine.
I think it's not necessarily the finances. It's like if their dog is a nuisance, getting out, I can see like moving forward. I don't know that should just be, charged or, given a fine, that they should be fined.
Right, so also, what does the Metro Animal Control do? Do they pick up the animal and then they take them to a shelter, and if they're not claimed within a certain time frame, then they're put down? Or what happens?
Usually they're able to come out and identify the animal based off of, the collar or microchip emerged from the animals, and most neighbors know who the animal is. I don't know if their process for picking up an animal and if an owner is not identified, about putting it down. Most shelters have a policy of waiting at least a week, and then they offer that animal up for adoption.
Is there any?
I mean,
What did that dog do that was so awful that it was such a bad thing that it got thrown out of court? Did the property owners that received the strange dog, were they the ones that took the owners to court and then it got thrown out, or was it Metro that took the owner's report for a fine and then it got thrown out? They weren't able to find it.
So Metro Animal Services does a report and files it with our office, and then we process it and send it to the court.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, I mean, the person whose property is, intruded upon by this animal usually calls the police or Metro Animal Services, and then Metro Animal Services comes out.
Mm-hmm. And so then Metro is unable to collect any
Yeah.
fees, or they're unable to recoup their costs.
I don't think this is really about like them recouping their costs. It's more about, holding animal owners responsible to make sure that the community is safe. We're not really set up to fund organizations based off of fines that people pay. And the other thing I'll say is usually, I'd have to go back and double check with that case, but usually when Metro Animal Services sends this case, it's been a repeated incident already. If it's a one-off, they usually aren't sending it to us.
Is that always the case?
What? I mean, I don't know about the cases they don't send, so.
Okay.
I guess you
Any
see that.
cases that you've come across, have been any or one-offs?
I'd have to go back and double check, but I think usually there have been other contacts.
And have you used your discretion at any to throw something, to choose not to throw it when it comes to the animal?
They're not prosecuted.
Or
finding.
yeah.
Finding them.
I mean, at times we do that for all of our cases.
I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I think there needs to.
I just feel like you can nickel and dime the whole world to.
It's crate's cheaper than $250.
Huh?
I said a crate's cheaper than $250.
To answer your question, Councilmember Evans, I mean, this isn't extremely urgent, but it does mean that, if a dog is loose and on somebody's private property, we can't do anything.
Hypothetically, I get drunk and I scoop into my neighbor's backyard. What happens?
Well, you could be charged with trespassing.
Even if it was
I mean,
unintentional
that's
and harmless.
illogical. That's not an atmosphere.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying there are consequences.
Drunk person like stumbling onto their neighbor's related incident.
I know. I'm just
Can't reason
saying.
with the dog.
You could probably reason with a dog better than a drunk person. All right. So,
So,
shall we postpone this?
yeah,
So what? What is going to change? Or are we moving this forward to council for the 28th?
I mean, I'm open to different wording.
I guess the other option would be I could produce different wording and come back
Okay.
to the next, December public safety with that
All right.
changed wording.
Do that
Or
then.
this-
Be the last day.
one.
Yeah.
December.
So it would not likely need to be on the council agenda for that night as well. Otherwise, it's not getting voted on until January. Correct. Yeah. We don't have any meetings after I have a fourth meeting.
Can always be, pulled if needed,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, go on to discussion. Minutes. Item number 2, AB 23-148, Resolution 3189, Washington Traffic Safety Commission Interagency Agreement. Page 25 in the packet.
Okay, so this is really just a renewal of last year's Traffic Safety Commission agreement. Every year what it does is it allows us to participate in what they call Region 5 monies, of which they're allocating $200,000. We're not going to receive all $200,000. We just get to be part of it. What it is to reimburse us for both straight time and overtime up to a rate of 1.5, which is our standard overtime rate, for participating in regional and statewide traffic episodes, whether that's DUI, holiday DUI emphasis, summer DUI emphasis. They do a distracted driving, various emphasis. You see them to target zero. So we have an emphasis maybe in the Sumner Bonney Lake area. Our officers can participate in that, and this qualifies us for reimbursement. It does not lock us in to participating beyond that budget. So it's not to say that we have to participate in 10 events a year. When the money's out, we're now locked in to still do that. The way this works with them is we get to budget it out, and they say there's money to support this, we're going to put that event on. And when the money's out, then we no longer are obligated.
How big is, you said Region 5?
Region 5.
How big is that?
I believe it is East Pierce County, the way it looks.
Oh, okay. That's currently on tonight's consent agenda.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyone have any concerns with that?
No.
We will leave it on there for tonight. And then we'll go to item number 3, AB 23-149, Resolution 3190, Enumclaw Jail Contract, page 45 in the packet. Back to you, Chief.
Okay, let me get down to that one. This one's a little more complicated, a little bit longer of a contract. In 2019 is the last time we did a contract with Enumclaw Jail, and it was for guaranteed 4-bed guaranteed space. And at that time, the study showed that our daily incarceration rate was about 6.5. So even back then, it would have justified this position. Enumclaw came to us because they're trying to secure funding to help keep their jail running. And their deal to us was they're going to give us a really good rate. So this locks us in by doing the 6 beds per day. They guaranteed us a rate of $90 per bed per day in 2024. Now, comparison is if we use SCORE right now, it's $150 a day. So we're looking at anywhere between $40 to $60 a day average. It's quite a money savings. And right now, when jail operations is something that's affecting the budget severely, we're just trying to look for creative ways. So they brought us to us. I thought it was a fantastic idea. Spoke to our operations and administrative assistant chiefs. They agreed. We did a quick 6-month study of January through June of 2023. And the lowest daily incarceration rate we had right now was 10.39 in a month. We've had several January, February, March, where our incarceration rates per day were over 16 or 15 beds. So we're able to show that having the 6 beds, we'll be able to fill it. And then it just becomes up to us to actually make sure those beds are being used first before you SCORE. And that's something we're already doing. So I really feel this is a good opportunity to save the city money.
And we can still put more out there. This is just a guarantee.
This is guaranteed. So
Okay.
they have 7 or 8 beds, but they're saying we will guarantee Bonney Lake has 6 beds every day in our jail.
We sublease those out for 110.
Sounds like we're gonna need them.
Full transparency, the downside to Enumclaw Jail is we have to make sure that those are not people that have high mental health or high medical needs, which is easy enough for us to do. Right? Those clients do need to go to Pierce County or SCORE because they have a higher level of services to provide. But to be able to put 6 beds a day.
Is Pierce County opening now?
Pierce County is opening more and more. And a lot of that is Chief Jackson there is doing a fantastic job of hiring and onboarding people, so they're getting more staff in there. And as their staff level rises, they're able to take on more beds. We're definitely seeing that.
Okay, that's good.
Does this deal come with free Wi-Fi and continental?
I believe there is some sort of breakfast, but it does come with video arraignment.
Yeah,
Is it just yogurt and bagels?
that's still good.
I stay out of it.
Hot waffles?
Is SCORE video arraignment, or do they have to be in person?
SCORE does have video
Oh, okay.
arraignment.
Yeah, Councilmember Evans, we do all of SCORE via video because it's a lot of work for the officers to go all the way up
Oh, yeah,
to
for
Des
sure.
Moines, and because we're not one of the founding cities, they have to wait at the back of the line. So like Burien, Des Moines, Tukwila, they like paid money in at the beginning. So those officers like get to go to the front of the line while our officers are waiting to check defendants in. So to transport them would be a ton of work.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking this might be an additional savings if we had to go pick them up, but if they're already doing it, that's.
We all are also shopping Nisqually Jail again, as well as Cobb Jails, looking at all those contracts, seeing what we can do to lock down. But, Nisqually, for example, a lot of personnel hours to get there, not to mention gas costs,
Yeah.
so just the personnel hours versus even cost. Unless it's 3 o'clock, you have to come across the White River Bridge.
Right.
Then that's a little tricky.
But, and the other thing is less out of service time for you guys drop off here than that before. This is not showing on an agenda.
November 28th.
Oh, it is, okay. You guys okay with the consent on that?
Yeah.
All right, that takes us down to open public comment. Or open public comment, seeing none. Move on to
So,
open discussion.
Justin, I was just going to bring it up and everything else in that for Carla there and everything else to just give a brief update on what's happening with community court
Oh, okay.
and some things in that she's
You're breaking up, Kathy.
with bringing a resource fair to Bonney.
I can update.
Okay.
Lake. And you guys keep stalling out.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can right back at it.
Kathy, I'll provide an update. So, hi, I'm Carla. I'm the case manager with the city of Bonney Lake. I'm really happy to be here. In the last 5 weeks, we've done quite a bit with community court. We now have a data tracking system that we're doing quarterly tracking. We also have all of our files up to date, everything put into a new case management system that we're using. I've been out within the community trying to determine resources for our participants. And what I've noted in Bonney Lake is a lacking. So we don't have a lot of clinical dependency, mental health providers, housing, just different, a plethora, educational, vocational. And what, when we had our first stakeholders meeting just recently, and Chief Berry was there, what I would like to do is do basically a model where we are providing services outside of here. So we can use community court to, prevent further crime and working with the individuals step by step to provide mental health, dependency. But what I want to do is provide those to the community as a whole so we can stop crime before it happens. A lot of the individuals, homelessness, are needing services who haven't committed crimes yet. Everybody wants us. We want to stop before they get to community court. So what I'd like to do is I've been attending a lot of different resource fairs and working with different agencies. There is an agency called On the Road with Partner Cafe. What they do is they basically facilitate on bringing different partners together, whether that's housing, mental health, dependency, vocational, educational. So basically you pick the providers who will come to your area. I'd like to have a resource fair to bring those individuals here on one day, like a Saturday. I spoke to our judge and everything about that as well. To come and provide resources, not just participants, but who are facing homelessness, who need rental assistance, or who need dental and medical care. And they have a van that can come and provide dental checks. So it's not just to participants or to the court. I'm looking beyond that. I'm looking at the community as a whole because that's where it starts. Community court's great, and we can offer those services to our participants. That's a number. I'd like to reach out even further, working with clothing banks, food banks. I provided an update for Thanksgiving giveaways that I just provided to hopefully go on the city website for individuals who are needing assistance at Thanksgiving time. We know that the holiday season, that's illness goes up, domestic violence, alcohol, drug offenses. It's proven. So to get these resources out there as soon as possible so people know. The venue or the individuals I'll be working with, they provide everything. All we have to do is provide cost to the city of Bonney Lake. They will bring the individuals in. They are having us resource fair on December 2nd that I'll be attending. And we can choose the vendors we want. We can say, we want a financial, we want a demo. So the different agencies want to provide those resources. What I found at the last fair and event I went to is everybody said the same thing. We want to get to Bonney Lake. We just don't know how to get there. They don't know who to talk to or how to come out here to provide those. I think this is an amazing opportunity, at least to get our foot in the door and start, at least for one. Just try it once. And I have had the individuals come out, and what we were thinking is using City Hall like downstairs. And on a Saturday, obviously, we can't interrupt business, but we do have the large parking lot. I know it would take working with police and the police department for security, parking, things like that. But go ahead.
I like the idea. We have to be careful of that because when we're looking at accessibility issues for people that are experiencing home insecurities, maybe paying a lot of times they're behind in rent, they're behind in utilities, and when they see the police there, they have a fear because they think we're going to evict them. They maybe their immigration status is not something that they want us to know, right? And so, yes, I think we could do it. We have to do like in a softer way than marked cars because sometimes we block the people we're trying to help because they have the wrong perception of that.
Right.
So we definitely can work with you on that.
And I think, improving that impression is what I'm trying to do as a community public case manager, is coming in and saying, we have a different outlook of the prosecutor, we have a different look at the public defense, that we're here to work with you. And I want the community to know that we're here to work with you. It's not just community court participants. I believe it's much bigger than that. So, anyway, I wanted to come today to ask them, can we bring a resource fair here and at least try it once? See, they're going to do all the advertising. They're going to provide all the setup is done. We just have to provide the venue.
I think that's great. I don't know if that's really a question for the council to answer, but
Yeah, we can certainly do that. Yes, obviously we have city staff here is building monitors.
I think it's great to help people. I think the question that I have is saying like you want to offer it outside to who, I guess.
To community members. So basically community members of Bonney.
Okay.
So we're going to invite citywide. So it won't just be, defendants or participants. It will be citywide. So advertising, if we can, like on the City of Bonney Lake website, advertising on, Facebook, advertising, we could bring handouts to flyers to the school. A lot of, that's right now how a lot of, like the Thanksgiving handout that I sent in today, it came through the Pierce County School District. So a lot of the different events and things that go on, especially like with Christmas and things like that, those are things we should be putting out there because the best are going to be Christmas presents. The best are going to be people who can't afford to buy things for their kids. We can stop that if we provide them the.
I think my only problem with it is, I was the kid that was getting the Christmas presents. And I did have like parents that were abusing substances and things like that. And I was also a teen on drugs. And so as I look at anywhere where there's a hub and services are being offered, my concern is always, and I'm very much for helping and getting people off of their feet, off of drugs, out of domestic violence and all those kinds of things. But I often have seen services being offered just eventually not become something that's really good. Like, for example, I've been a volunteer down at the Tacoma Rescue Mission. And like over the years, I look back, 20 years ago, when the first times when I was volunteering there versus like when I recently volunteered there about a year ago. That hub being a place where people can go and get services has become like not a place necessarily to get services. It's just a place that is just a drain now on that area. And, I don't know if you've seen it there, but I mean, now there's a whole city, right? That's like living all along the corridor there. And the people literally wait there. They used to come then when I worked at Labor Ready, they would come and get day jobs from me. And, you know, wait in the office, they'd get their money, they would go then get off work, they would get their drugs, they would sleep in the tents right by the mission, and then they would get their meal and say that they were clean, you know, so it's like it became this, I just don't want that to happen to Bonney Lake, you know, where
Right.
there is a resource and those resources have even expectations of those people, right? Because when my mom would get us Christmas presents and someone would come and deliver it that we don't even know, like to our door, like that was fine. But like some of the other services, I think sometimes like my parents would get, you know, they just, I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I mean,
Yeah.
And we're not asking for them to come here permanently. This
Okay.
would be, let's try one resource fair and bring the services. And I think it's more about having those providers see that they're, right now, they don't know what is needed here because they
Okay.
haven't been invited here, which seems so simple to me. Go to the schools, but they really need one person to say, this is what we need involved. For the people, I'm not looking as, you know, center of the library.
Yeah.
My idea is, I mean, we already have the collective issues in this.
Mhm.
We already have them all. We already have homeless.
Right.
It's just not sitting in the parking lot, but it's still here. And we still have the crimes where we're doing the body footages, where we are doing the arrests. My idea is to try to stop it all. Yes, there are people who take advantage of others. Usually appropriate case managers. I was a social worker before I came here. I worked with child welfare for years. And then I did probation. I've seen all different stuff. So I understand where you're coming from and the concern. You know, it goes back to not in my neighborhood. I want to help, but if you don't bring something in, we're never going to. It seems like even for teenagers, this is growing. And I think it starts with parents. It starts with providing them housing, education, and vacation. You know, those are the resources. I don't think there's a lot that they could offer them that besides how to do a resume. I'm talking goodwill, talking business such as those.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You
you.
guys will work out the details of the resource fair and everything.
Yes.
Okay, good. Any open discussion? No? All right. Well, then we're adjourned.
All right.
Yes, nice meeting you too. Here's my card.